Yeah, it's a great question, and we take pride in answering this, and for a lot of reasons. Number one is that TECH5 itself was founded to be a biometric technology company, and it was founded by people who have combined experience of 300 plus years in biometrics and secure credentialing programs, design and execution, which started with the basic understanding of what biometrics are and how they play a big role when it comes to identity and related use cases. So, if you can get from my sentence or previous statement, we have people who have been working in biometrics from both sides, right? When I say both sides, as in from research and development, core technology development, and then we're also been really privileged and lucky to be part of very large-scale national ID programs and other use cases. The combined experience actually tells us, what's required in terms of making a technology successful in real world. To achieve that, we keep constantly investing in new approaches of advancing the technology. And you've always, or you really hear the buzzwords like AI and machine learning approaches. And we took the experience that we have in facial recognition algorithms and took them to fingerprint and iris, which is why we are able to achieve really great results. Um, and NIST being the only or the de facto evaluation institution, we have been submitting our algorithms to them. And because of the AI approaches, we can turn around and build new algorithms pretty faster compared to the traditional methods. As we submit, we can see that the results are really promising. We are able to build state-of-the-art, high-speed, high-accuracy algorithms, which are now among the world's fastest and the most accurate algorithms when it comes to face and fingerprint and iris. The other thing that I would like to recommend is that, or mention that, is that this is only achieved through a bigger collaboration between ourselves, the customers that we work with, and some academia, and participations in groups like CITER, where we do domain knowledge exchange, which is very essential when it comes to biometrics, some data exchanges, and we also invest on our own side to get consent-based databases. Now, all of this combined, when it comes to experience, the knowledge domain expertise, and exchange of information, and collective efforts with academia and customers, really helps us build the next generation biometric algorithms that really work in scenarios where they matter. So TECH5 is, as I mentioned, was first started as a biometrics company, which means its focus was mainly, and based off experience, was mainly towards foundational IDs and then functional IDs. And as you know, by definition, foundational IDs are national IDs, when it comes to very large populations and countries. And then the functional IDs would be driver's license and anything that is derived or at least acts in, for a specific use case. So we've been doing that with our latest, our involvement in digital ID technologies. We are now able to give those functional IDs or make those functional IDs a penetration in that market very well. And we have really exciting projects going on. Unfortunately, I cannot mention some of these countries right now because we're gonna make them, make some public announcements. And I'm sure Identity Week will be the first media to receive our press releases. But along with that, what I would also say is that with our recent acquisition of Imageware assets, we're able to also claim some of the market sectors that we were not focusing in the past when it comes to private and banking. And again, some of these projects will be discussed in due course when we make these public announcements. So TECH5, is a company that builds the foundational blocks or the building blocks of an identity system. So what we do is we end up partnering with our partners, which could be system integrators or government themselves or private sector companies to build their end-to-end solution. Now, by definition, we are not maintaining anybody's databases. Neither are we, responsible for the end-to-end life cycle. When it comes to management of an identity. So we rely on our partners and the customers to do that, and hence I would refrain from saying that we are responsible for the privacy of the or security of the information. But that said, we do work with our customers and our partners to ensure that we enable them to do everything possible in order to achieve the regulatory requirements, but also on the moral grounds to help them achieve the privacy of the data, and then ensure security. What we do, of course, is follow standards when it comes to storage of data, and then the protocols that are used to exchange information between the systems. So to give you a quick examples, we only use open standard API interfaces. And then from data formats, we use formats like EBTS and ISO standards, if you will, for data storage and transmission. Now, since we do not store or maintain any databases, we help customers by implementing some other innovative technologies that we'll talk about. And this is now becoming more relevant as we venture into the world of digital IDs. And we help the solutions, or the people who are building the solutions, to achieve that by means of ideas or techniques like authentication using biometrics before you reveal any information, consent-based information disclosure by using multi-factor authentication, and also ideas like using biometrics as cryptographic keys, which means that you can only get access to information and can decrypt it if you have the live biometric of the person. So in short, today, as we are not service providers, we are not responsible for ensuring the privacy and security, but I'll go and say that we do take care of this through working with our partners and enable them to achieve, not only regulatory compliances, but go a step beyond to ensure, privacy and security. Well, that's a great question. And I would definitely say that, bias exists in all kinds of modalities, but it is more prevalent, or, you can see it more in facial recognition, just because the variation of faces between ethnicities, races, and, continents is pretty significant. There is some variance in other biometrics like fingerprint and iris, if you will. I mean, you have blue eyes, brown eyes, black eyes, if you will. And then for fingerprints also, there is sizes and ridge density. But again, going back to the topic of facial recognition, which seems to be the most, observed and talked about topic when it comes to bias, it is all about your training database, right? If you are designing an algorithm that, serves a certain population, then you can take that database and, train it and it'll work well. But if you are building algorithms that are meant to work across ethnicities and races, then it has the moral responsibility of the algorithm developers to ensure that the databases and the algorithms used are trained enough on the diversity to ensure that there is uniform performance across the variation in the demographics, right? What we do is basically working again with the academia and as well as some of the customers. We try to ensure that our training systems and databases account for such variations. Beyond that, what we have also done, and I think there is a press release that we had made with you guys, or Identity Week, is that we also acquired some consent-based databases because we have seen that when people start talking about adding ethnicities, they will go and try to scrape images from the internet, and it's not a good practice by any means. So we have acquired databases where we have consent to the last person who has actually, down to the person who has given written consent to say their data can be used for training purposes. That combined with some of the synthetic data and new technologies, we are able to basically build algorithms that will not have any bias, in all three modalities. No, we definitely consider ourselves the innovators, and I'll give a very candid answer. I mean, there is a way of trusted traditional approaches of doing biometrics, and then there is a need for biometrics in the real world, which kind of slightly deviate when it comes to solving, as I said, the last mile problems. And what does that mean, right? So the last mile problems, in our opinion, are basically digital divide. So people do not have digital infrastructure, or digital skills, if you will. It'll take some, 5, 10, 15 years before everybody has that. Then there is concerns of privacy and security, and also, how do you make sure that the total cost of ownership of this system is low for both the institution that is implementing the system and the people who are using it. So when you look at all this in the same scope, you start to think what needs to be done in order to take the existing knowledge of biometrics or modalities and then somehow innovate in order to make it useful to address these problems. And it could mean that we may add up or invent or perhaps complement the existing biometric technology with some extra modalities or additional features from a given modality. And this, again, becomes more relevant when you talk about decentralized identity. So I'll give you quick few examples. For example, we are using when we capture fingerprints for contactless capture. Today, we use only the tips of the fingerprints, like traditional algorithms. But you can imagine that since we are taking the picture of the whole hand, there is a lot more information than just the tips. So why not use all that information and keep the tips of the fingerprints for the traditional standards, and then use the rest of the information for an additional algorithm that gives you greater accuracy than just using the fingertips. And this is just one example. The other thing that I'll give you is when we can use the biometrics as a cryptographic key. You can take the biomodality and use it as a key, and not as a key to a vault, but actually use for encrypting the information. In other words, to decrypt the information, you would need a live biometric. So what I would like to say is that, through this, what we are trying to address, typically are the concerns where, privacy and security of real importance, frictionless usage becomes essential for the success of the program. But then you also start talking about how do you do template protection and revocable biometrics to make sure that people have trust into the system, and they can also, without any hindrance and with full trust, start using the systems, and which will make the program itself successful. So I believe that not only will we keep innovating and doing really good stuff in core biometrics, foundational ID systems, but with our vision to reach out to the every person on this planet, and then the technologies and digital ID system that we are building to address that market, we will be seen as innovators, and you'll be hearing from us a lot more as we succeed in each little step and then deploy it, and then the customers give us the kudos, if you will, of implementing a real practical working solution. So we've been going to almost every Identity Week show out there, and we definitely love to be there. It's just because the presence of not only other technology providers and partners that come over there, but also some customers that do visit. It also helps us exchange ideas, learn more. This time being in Amsterdam, it'll be a different change of environment. So we are super excited. At the same time, since we have the opportunity to talk about what we are offering and where we are innovating, and perhaps get get more exposure to our solution, which we believe, as I said, solves a lot of problems when it comes to digital divide. This event is really exciting for us and for our team to go there and interact and present.